What's up, guys? Welcome back to another Tesla Talk Tuesday. If this kind of content isn't your cup of tea, no worries, but we do have plenty more supercar content coming, BMW content coming, Aston Martin Vantage content coming. So yeah, this is a once a week thing, but yeah, anyways, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new to the channel, welcome back. And let's get right into it. The biggest news is obviously Tesla has released their beta version of actual full self-driving. So it's out to like a limited number of people, but out of those people, it is pretty crazy to see. If you want to see it online, obviously just go Google it. You can find plenty of people using it for like full drives somewhere, but it looks pretty wild. Like the actual like center screen that displays what full self-driving is looking at just looks like this crazy video game. So it is pretty neat and pretty wild stuff. Now, something that's interesting that I don't really like is apparently Tesla is removing the option to turn regen braking to toggle between like standard and low on new cars. My problem with this is when I had a Tesla, I used that when it was like snowy or wet outside sometimes. If you put regen braking to low, there's a better chance of you not like spinning tires. So what happens sometimes is when you let off the accelerator pedal, regen kicks in and you're effectively hitting the brakes. Now, if you brake too hard when it's wet or snowy outside or icy outside, your wheels are going to lock up or skid or whatever. And that's similar to what happens with regen braking. So without having the ability to set it to low, it seems a little dangerous. I mean, you still have traction control and whatnot, but it's weird though, because traction control then has to kick in and ABS and all that other jazz. So it just seems like one thing that's kind of nice. I do love driving with regen braking. I always kept it on standard unless there were snowy conditions. You also get more range, obviously, if you leave standard or regular regen braking on, but it was nice to have as an option. So I don't know why they would get rid of it. Like, it's just a software thing and people can toggle between it. So why wouldn't you leave it as an option? Kind of weird, and I definitely prefer having it.
So, little correction. As I was editing this video, I actually went to Tesla's website, was going to do a screenshot to show it, and then I realized that Elon Musk actually tweeted out on the 22nd that full self-driving, the price bump to 10 grand, is delayed until Thursday. So if you haven't bought it yet and you still want to get it at $8,000, you can, but do so before Thursday. But he did also say that a subscription model, or like renting full self-driving, will be available in the future. So if you don't want to pay $8,000 or $10,000, you can rent it, but I don't know what that cost will be. If you don't need it all the time, it might be a viable option for longer road trips and whatnot. But if you do purchase it, in theory, it helps the price of your car because it stays with the car, not the owner, is my understanding. So think of it as an investment. Either way, delayed till Thursday. So if you want to get it, go ahead and get it now.
Now, the saving grace is that if you do already own a Tesla that has full self-driving, in theory, your vehicle went up by about $2,000. So that's where you get sort of the appreciating asset stuff coming into play. But it'll be interesting to see because like how much can you keep raising prices? Now, the other thing that is kind of neat is if you think about it, whatever the cost of full self-driving is. So for example, $10,000 right now. If you have in the future a very old or high mileage Model 3, for example, but it has full self-driving, it kind of creates a floor, if that makes sense. So for example, if you have a Model 3 that has a $10,000 full self-driving option, but let's say full self-driving is now $15,000 or $20,000 in the future, that Model 3, if it sells for less than $20,000, well, you're getting full self-driving at a discount, whereas you could replace some parts to make it new again. So if you think about it, it's going to help Teslas hold their vehicle much better. It is pretty interesting stuff. Now, some other neat things. The infamous hacker on Twitter, he goes by Green or @GreenTheOnly, has basically seen that the Model Y should be getting flat folding third row seats very soon, which is obviously expected. The Model Y should also be getting a HEPA air filter, which comes along with biohazard mode, which I think was only present on Model X's and S's at this time. That apparently is not in the works for the Model 3 though. But standard/adaptive air suspension is apparently been seen in the code bases for both the 3 and the Y. So that would be kind of neat to see. I really liked my air suspension on the Model S. The ride was good. I obviously never drove a Model 3, so I don't really have too much to compare it to, but adaptive air suspension is always cool, especially with the Y, where you can kind of lift and lower it as needed. So those are some interesting things that he was able to find in the software. Last but not least, GMC Hummer EV. So yes, this super truck has actually been announced. They've come out with stats for it. However, there have been articles, or I guess GM has actually come out, I believe, and said they haven't really, started making these cars yet. And I don't think I think the projected date is 2022. So 2 years away with these stats. Are we actually going to see it? Obviously, we're still waiting on Rivian and the Cybertruck. Those are going to be the first two to market. So until we start seeing these cars, it's just a bunch of numbers on a screen that sort of mean nothing. So, I mean, at least the Cybertruck, they gave test rides in. The Hummer, we've seen it on video clips, and that's about it. So, I don't know. It's cool and all, but until they actually come out with a production vehicle with real world numbers, again, it's kind of meaningless. So still just waiting on other companies to come out with impressive, good range, strong performance oriented vehicles similar to what Tesla has done, and then they can talk. So yeah, excited for the future, but some of these future vehicles are 2+ years away, which feels like forever. Well, that is effectively going to be it for this Tesla Talk Tuesday. Going to keep it short and simple. But if you enjoyed the content, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. It would really help me out. Would really appreciate it. But until next time, guys, thanks for watching.